Big game on Friday night for Aston Villa. An opportunity, a test for us to make the first leap to climb into the Premier League title. Aston Villa have the opportunity on Friday night to go top of the Premier League. And for me, this is a big opportunity to test our minerals and to see what we are all about. If we can climb to the top, that will be the first challenge of winning the Premier League, because it will not only open the eyes to football fans, but it will open the eyes to the wider audience of Aston Villa being top of the league. Yes, it might only be for a couple of hours, etc., until the next day, but that opportunity, taking that moment and seizing it when we possibly can, will show us so much about this current squad. And I think we should embrace it. I think the players should embrace it. I don't think there's a pressure on the players to do it, but I think it's there for us to do. We have to be sort of respectful of the opposition. We have to remain humble, but we have to seize the moment. We have to be ruthless. And I think this is a big moment for Aston Villa. And I can't wait for it. Up the Villa. If you are new, subscribe to the channel, drop this video a like, and get involved in the comment section down below. Justin, this is why we love this club. This is why we are football fans, to have that belief and this opportunity. We've got to take it, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got to seize the days and seize the moment. This is what they've been working for all season. This is what we've been praying for, since I started following Villa. These times, these moments, these games that are game-changing games. And if we can go top, I do feel it's another mental barrier broken down, isn't it?
Yeah.
That the team and the squad and the players can think, oh, actually, we're nearly halfway through the season and we're top of the Premier League. That's a huge thing to moment of belief for the squad. And we've played everybody, haven't we? Barring, I think, Man United. So at that moment, when you sit top of the table after the game, hopefully tomorrow, Friday night, I think they can all sit there and think, this is on. This is on. We have got a chance here. So huge game, huge moment in the season. If we can grasp it and go top, then the belief that will hopefully continue to flow through everybody, fans and players and management and owners, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be an incredible night to be under the lights of Villa.
Yeah, it's a big moment and a big game, and I'll say why is that I've said earlier on in the season that there will be wins, there will be moments that sort of make a team season as you go along, and though every good side, every team in the league will probably have those moments. Whether you are at the bottom, you'll beat somebody that will give that team belief to go and try and survive, or if you're going for Europe, you're going for the Premier League. There will be those moments, and we've had those moments already, but you need more of those moments. So first moment, you could probably say beating Chelsea away. Next moment, you've beat Spurs away. So you've kept that away form going. You've beat a big team that are sort of at the top end of the league. That would then give us belief that make our away form better. Then the next obstacle was maintaining that home run of form. Can we beat, or can we go unbeaten? Can we get something from City or Arsenal? We then go and beat both of those teams. The next obstacle that we've got in our way is, can we go top of the league? Can we seize our chance to do so? And I imagine as the course of the season goes on, we'll have other moments later on where we could possibly maybe do it again, or we could, if we need to win a big game to get into the third place, or etc. We will look back on big moments with belief that we've been able to do it. And I think this is why, for me, this game's so big, because it's another moment that we've got to seize, and I'm just really excited for it. I'm excited to go to Villa Park again. I'm excited that it's Christmas, and it's just a really good time of year. Like, I love this time of year with football, with the family, and etc. And I think it is a good time of year. And the darts are on. We've got that day on Saturday where we've got sort of like Liverpool, Arsenal, Liverpool, and we've got the boxing, and it's just a good time of year, isn't it? So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I can't wait on Saturday night to watch that game, and we are top of the league. But that's me talking as a Villa fan. Unai will be, making no two ways about this, that their mentality is 100% focused, and they're not thinking probably about that. They're thinking about Sheffield United on the pitch, and that's where their mindset is, one game at a time, etc. So I imagine he's keeping them really grounded. He will want a reaction from the players from Sunday, because yes, we won the game, but he didn't like what he saw at the end. So he will want a performance from the players that's settled, that's sort of switched on, that's focused, and he will want that from the players as well. So I think we've got that to come. So Sheffield United up next at home. I've already done the opposition preview. He's not very confident at all. And I think they're a bit of a weird team, Sheffield United. Like, I'm a bit lost at what their mindset is of being in the Premier League. And, this isn't being, I'm not trying to like slate them or anything, but, I think they've got promoted. Last season, they had money problems, and it was a blessing that they got promoted, because had they not got promoted, then they would be in big trouble financially. To sell their best players, and to then sack Heckingbottom, where, they've lost some big games. They've lost sort of like 8-0 or 9-0 to Newcastle. They've not been great. But I don't get what the expectation was from hardly signing anybody, to selling their best players, to selling Sanderberg to Burnley. I'm just not sure on sort of the vibe and sort of the lack of intent and the lack of ambition to get in the Premier League. Because if you look at the Premier League at the minute and you see the table and you look at the Championship and you see, the top 4 in the Championship, 3 of those teams got relegated. You then look at the Premier League table and the 3 teams that got promoted are in the bottom 3. Then you look at the teams above that, and they're pretty much the teams that got promoted and survived the season before. So I'm just not really sure why there wasn't a little bit more ambition from Sheffield United. What are your thoughts on them, Justin?
It's been a very hard season for them, hasn't it? I think that it just proves, as we found when we got promoted not too far ago, that it's incredibly difficult, isn't it, to stay up the season after. They have had lots of problems, like you saying, off the pitch financially. They got up probably. I'm not saying luckily, because they did okay last season. I think Heckingbottom did a really good job with them. But when you come up into the Premier League, it's a different ball game, isn't it? I still do watch lots of Championship football, and the quality just isn't nowhere near as good as the Premier League, is it? And when you do come up, it's a massive, massive learning curve. And unless you have a USP, I suppose, unless you go in a bit like Luton have, I suppose, with no fear, just have a go. Let's see what happens. Let's have a positive attitude. Sheffield United, out of the 3 clubs that have come up, have probably had the least positive attitude on the pitch of all of them, and I think they're suffering from that now. And yes, they have had a couple of pastings, which really doesn't help, and the fans become very low very quickly. You get into this mentality of another game lost, another game lost, another game lost, and that transfers itself onto the pitch. So the whole place just drops. You can sort of see the shoulders drop every week. So I think the manager change had to happen. Bringing Wilder back, I think, was a good idea because of his connection to the club and what he's done for them before. They needed somebody that could grab the club and just lift it up and hopefully have a bit of a spark. It hasn't happened as of yet. And they've just struggled all season, haven't they? And they do look, dare I say, doomed already. I just don't know where they're getting the wins from to stay up. So I think overall, I think it's going to be a season of just do their best, try not to get hammered too much, take their money and run back to the Championship, hopefully get their house back in order off the pitch financially, so they're not in any trouble of going, down any further, and then maybe have another go at it next season. It's just very hard, isn't it? The Premier League is very unforgiving.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have a look at the Sheffield United style of play now. So we'll go to the tactical pad. And here you can see this is Sheffield United's formation and personnel that started the game against Chelsea. Interestingly, they've been switching between a back five and a back four. Last game, they went with a back four, which tends to turn into a back 6/7. And what we can see is that in essence, it's a 4-5-1. But when they like to press, they will press with a 4-4-2. So it will be a 4-4-2 press when they don't have the ball. So they're trying to get Archer and McBurney pressing. Without the ball, they will then drop into this 4-5-1. The back four will then switch into a very narrow back four. So against Chelsea, the back four was sort of spanning across the width of the 18-yard box. So it was very, very narrow. And then Archer would drop into that role. And then you would see McAtee going into there. And then that would be their formation, a 6-3-1. That would be their formation when they are heavily, heavily defending. The problem with Sheffield United is getting the ball sticking further up the football pitch. We've seen McBurney really, really isolated and Cameron Archer isolated. When they beat Brentford at home, their style was okay, really. What Burnley did was they pinned two centre halves and left two centre halves against their two players, which was, a little bit of sort of like tactical suicide, leaving it sort of like a 2v2. You'll remember me showing you that in the match preview that we did for Brentford. So in essence, this is how they play. This is what they do. It's going to be a very, very low block. They're going to be defending. They have the odd moment. They're quite direct. But if Villa control this game, like I know we can, then we win this game. Might be difficult to break through them, but we've just got to persist with it. Don't get frustrated. Keep going. Even if it's 0-0, come 70 minutes, stay patient. Keep going. The goal will come. So we can't get frustrated. We've just got to stick to our plan and keep going because they will look to defend and try and hit us on the break. But we'll talk about one player in particular because he played for us, is Cameron Archer. I'm going to show you Cameron Archer's heat map so far this season. Justin, what are your thoughts on Cameron Archer then?
Yeah, I mean, lots was spoken about it in the summer when he left the club. A lot of people expected him to stay and sort of become the player. I expected him to probably stay, if I'm brutally honest. I thought we'd sign a striker, a more experienced striker, than have him as like a third choice, and it would see him get minutes off the bench. I think the reasons he left were very valid. I think that the FFP is always going to be a consideration, and the money we got for him and for the Jean Bidace as well, and a couple of the others, has massively helped us to sort of make sure off the field stuff carries on ticking over as well as the on field stuff. And it was his chance to go and play regularly week in, week out in the Premier League, wasn't it? And I don't want to be hard on him because I think he's a decent footballer. I think he's unfortunately picked the worst Premier League side to probably go and play for because of their form. But by default, they just don't have the ball that much. They're under pressure a lot. He's having to feed off scraps. The quality of their players that you've just alluded to there, the style of play that they're having, which is backs against the wall, 4, 5, 6 at the back, trying to hold off, hit teams on the break, means that when they do break, they haven't got the quality to pick him out and to make the use of his runs. We know he's good in behind. We know he's a very good finisher. So I would think, not without looking too detailed at how many chances he's had, he'd probably been feeding off hardly anything all season. So he scored, 2 goals? They've both been good finishes, what we'd expect of him. Has he done enough to convince me that he could come back to Villa and be a player for us? No, not at the moment. I think next season will be massive for him if they do drop down into the Championship. I think he would have to score a lot of goals next season, a lot of goals. You see how good Bidace has done at Hull. Every week he's scoring and assisting, but it is a level below, isn't it? So I think at the moment, if I have to say it, I'd say he's a top end Championship striker where he's played most of his career, and he's done really well in the Championship, and he'll have a very good career down there. I think he would score lots and lots of goals. Um, will he ever become a proper, out and out Premier League goal scorer? I think the jury's still out on him. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in the future in his career. But as it stands, I probably wouldn't have him back at Villa. And that's a lot down to where we are as well. Let's not forget that. We are in the top four now, looking at even Championship title charge and Champions League football next season. So the type of footballers we will be getting, hopefully now, are just elite. Well, that's where we've got to be shopping at. If we were down the bottom of the Premier League struggling, then, he'd probably come back and do a job for us. But as it stands at the moment, we're looking probably well past where his current form would suggest he's at. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's probably tough for him because we know where he does the damage. It's inside
Yeah.
and in and around the 18-yard box, and if you're not getting the ball to him, then he's not going to do that damage. You see, my one reservation with him for Villa was his game off the ball and his
Yeah.
game past the 18. What does he do there? And he's kind of looking like I was kind of right to have that reservation because I think I don't think he does enough off the ball. I just don't see it. So I think give him the ball in the 80-yard box. I'd back him all day long, but it's the other side to his game that I was unsure with. So we'll go then to have a look at some of this.
It is a shame that he didn't get a chance to have one more season at Villa, and I think the money was too good to turn down for him, and a lot of eyebrows were raised when we did sell him, even for that amount, because a lot of people hoped that he could really achieve massive things. But it would have been, a part of me thinks it would have been nice for him to stay and just see what he could have done in such a good side that we've got now. But it is what it is. We are where we are now.
Yeah, and I think we're in this predicament, aren't we, where we can clearly see we need another striker.
Yeah.
But you can clearly see as well that if Cameron Archer was still at Villa, he wouldn't be playing.
No.
I look at Ollie Watkins and I think I don't see anybody displacing Ollie Watkins. His work off the ball is probably one of the best in the Premier League. But now, if you look at Ollie Watkins, where he had the criticism, months or years ago, where he'd have 6 or 7 chances and score one. Now he's having one chance and scoring one. What did he do on Sunday? He basically had one header and scored. And that is the sign of a top striker. So any striker that comes into Villa will not dislodge Ollie Watkins. But then what I saw against Brentford, what was needed, and I was looking at the game thinking, we need a target man in here now. We need somebody to disrupt their back line. And we brought Duran on, and Duran started to do all of that stuff. And even though Duran he had one chance, one shot, didn't he? But he probably might not have touched the ball. The work off the ball from Duran, that was what exactly was needed in that game, and that's why we probably ended up getting the win, because it's sometimes not what the players do with the ball. Sometimes it's players off the ball, dragging players, holding up, and players are running off him. It's all of that type of stuff, and I think Duran offers that, and I don't think Archer does offer
No.
that. So I think at the minute we're kind of all right with what we got.
Yeah, I think Duran is, from what I've seen of him, for his age, 20 years, 19, 20 years of age, are more or less like for Archer. I think we've probably stuck with the right one out of the two. If you offered me a straight player now, so who would you have in the side? You could have Archer or Duran. I probably would just about sneak with Duran, because I do think he offers you that physicality. I think he's a good finisher as well, and I think his potential ceiling. It's difficult in it because they're so young, both of them. I think Duran's ceiling is probably higher than Archer's, and that's probably where they were in the summer when they signed him.
Yeah, and Duran's currently getting capped for Colombia as well. So, that shows it's not just Villa that see a high ceiling with him, it's actual national team,
Yeah.
of where he's from. So let's go into some of the stats then, and we'll try and, get a bit of a tail of the tape for Sheffield United as well. So this graphic that I've got on the screen now, sort of where you can see 268, those are attacks. And then the next number is open play attacks. So Villa have had 42 attacks through open play chances, whereas Sheffield United have had 13. Aston Villa have had 39 direct attacks, and Sheffield United have had 11. On this graphic now, this is the XG for goals conceded. So Aston Villa's XG for goals conceded is 17.41, but we've conceded 14. So it shows that we are sort of underscoring the goals that we should be conceding. So we should have conceded 17 on XG, but it's 14. Sheffield United is 28.42. So they're conceding 34. So they're conceding more than their XG shows. And then the next one that we've got is the XG of goals scored. So we've got Villa's XG is 22.48, and we've scored 25. And Sheffield United's is an XG of 8.75, and they have scored 5. And this is open play goals. So this one shows goals that have been scored from open play. So Villa's of 25 and Sheffield United's is at 5. So, it really does show where teams are struggling. If you don't take your chances, you're not going to score. And if you leaky at the back, you're going to concede. So that's just the general tale of football. But I just thought I'd show you this graphic because this shows where teams are based on the XG. So it's pretty much spot on for where Villa are, really. So here we can have the territorial advantages per team. So the red is where the opposition have most of the ball against Sheffield United. So, yeah, the blue is where they are most comfortable with the ball. So,
Jesus Christ.
goal kicks. And then the contested areas are inside and at the front of their 18-yard box, which would highlight to me that they are defending narrow. They're defending in a low block, like I showed you. They'll defend narrow with their 4, which show that that's the space where they get the most sort of control of the game. But then out wide, there's always a threat out wide. So it shows to me that they are camped in that box. And yeah, this is their territorial. Do you want to add anything on that, Justin?
I think a picture paints 1,000 words there, doesn't it? I mean, we know they are the worst away side in the Premier League this season. They've scored 4 goals in 8 away games. They've got 1 point. And that statistic shows everything you need to know. They basically just defend for their lives and hope for the best. That might be being overly harsh on them. I'm sure they have got a match plan and a way they're trying to play, but the quality of the players and the form they're in is just not allowing them to have any kind of no attacking threat really in the games. I mean, that they've scored 5 goals from open play in 17 games. That means they've scored 7 from set plays, which is probably where they're going to pray that they get something on Friday night, a corner or a free kick thrown into the box. But open play, I mean, we know what we're all about, the way we dominate the ball and way we push forward and try and pick teams apart. I just see it being basically a training ground exercise on Friday night, defence versus attack, and that statistic and that graphic there just shows exactly that. We're going to be camped in that white area, I think, for 80-90% of the game, and it's just a matter of whether we can break them down. And to be honest, it was a good game for us to have against Brentford, the game before this, because that's how a lot of teams are going to play against us. I think they're going to sit with 4, 5, 6, along that sort of 18-yard line, and then we're going to have to just see if we can open them up. And Sheffield United are probably going to be very much similar play to that. So I think that will then dictate into the team we pick, which we'll go on to, I know, in a minute, to try and open them up.
Yeah. Patience is key.
Yeah.
So here we have the style of their team. So you can see that they are in the direct section, fast and direct. Villa are still in the slow and intricate section. This is how they lined up against Chelsea. And then you can see their average positions against Chelsea, pretty dominant. We have their passing network against Chelsea, which very scrappy, very not a lot going on, lack of depth, lack of width, lack of focal point. We've really got to press them high, win that ball back higher up the pitch, and just swamp them. And then this was Chelsea's passing network against them. So, that's a great passing network, to be fair, compared to what Sheffield United are going with. We've got the game against Chelsea, the expected threat. So you can see massive spikes for Chelsea. And then Chelsea attacked predominantly down the right-hand side and through the middle. You've got the shot map from Chelsea as well, peppering the goal from all angles. Tail of the Villa Sheffield United fixtures. 10 Premier League games, 6 wins to Villa, 2 to Sheffield United. They haven't beat us at Villa Park. We've got 4 home wins and 2 away wins. And this season, we're currently scoring 2.2 goals per game. They're scoring 0.7, which is less than 1 a game. And they're conceding on average 2.5 per game, and we're conceding 1.2. I would like this little graphic here for Villa to go below that 1 mark, I think. I think that's going to be my next little challenge for the next sort of going into next season. I would like us to get into that conceding less than 1 a game, because that would tell me that we're keeping clean sheets a little bit more often. So that's just one thing that I would like to highlight. And then this is the last couple of meetings with the 1-0 win for them, 1-0 for us, 0-0. And then this is the current form of both teams. That's remarkable from Villa. I mean, look at that. That's class from Villa. So, yeah, I mean, they've had some big losses. The Burnley one, 5-0 at Burnley. That's a bad loss, in it. So, if we can replicate anything like that. And then this is Villa's. Just thought I'd put that in there. So, the opposition are building out from the back. Contested areas are in the grey. And then Villa's build up from the back as well. So you can see where we get most of our joy. Central midfield building up from the back. And there we go. So, Justin, I am going to let you have full control of the predicted lineup. So, remember, we've got a caveat that Kamara is out. Tielemans, we're not sure. Hopefully he's back. And everyone else is fine. We've got 2 left backs to choose from. Moreno and Luke Dean. How luxurious is that now? So pick your Aston Villa 11 for Sheffield United.
I think we go back to Konsa. Konsa right back. Sorry. I think he goes back in right back. I think Pau and Carlos centre halves. I think Luca Dean slots back in at left back.
Yeah. Well, what number's Luca Dean these days? 20. Oh, there he is. I've still got him as 12, but is he 12? I don't think he's 12, is he?
I don't know. Can't think off the top of my head. Then obviously Douglas Luiz comes back in.
Yeah.
In the holding. I'm going to put John McGinn in.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree with that.
I am going to hope that Yuri Tielemans is back. I think it was only a mild knock. He did say it was touch and go. So I think he was left out for that game. I think he'll be back for this game. So I think Tielemans comes in. You can put him either side. I think probably the left-hand side, maybe slot him in where McGinn sits. And then I'm going home game, top of the league.
Yeah, I know what you're going with. Can I try and guess what you're going with?
Go on.
Can I try and guess, right? I'm saying you're going to go full attack mode, and you're going to bring in, where's our Bailey? I think you're going full attack mode, and you're going with Bailey in there as well. Yeah,
That's the one. That's
Uh,
the one.
yeah,
We've been
I
doing this
fully
too
agree with
long
this.
now.
Yeah.
I
If
just think it's
Tielemans
time.
isn't ready, then Ramsey will play, I think. But
Yeah.
McGinn in that double pivot, I think what we'll see is McGinn will do that Kamara screening there. And I kind of like McGinn like I like McGinn in there anyway. Like
Yeah.
I like his hustling, his bustle. I like him. I like him in a competitive midfield. I know he can drop in there. I know he can ping balls into anybody that's needed, and he can get in and around there anyway. So I like him there.
I think the reality of the way we play and the way they're going to play it and the amount of possession we're going to have will probably mean that we'll probably only have one holding midfielder. I think Louise will just sit in front.
Mm.
He'd probably just sit in front of Carlos, if I'm honest. And I think Pau Torres will almost step up and play,
Yeah.
the second sort of sixth role, and then McGinn and Tielemans will just be running in behind Watkins, Diaby, and Bailey, who will expect to just basically take up the whole of that front line and just interchange and run at them. And it's no disrespect to Ramsey or Matty Cash. I think both of them are just not in. Ramsey's as for Ramsey's more because he's just come back from an injury, so he's still finding his way back, into the team. And I think he's better served currently off the bench with little cameos. Hopefully, we're going to be 1, 2, 3-0 up, so we can come off the bench and have no pressure on him. Matty Cash was played out of position the weekend because he had to because of the way that the squad was sort of set up. And I think he's looking like he's really liking this way of going now. And I wasn't a massive fan of Concert right back, but I think over the last 2 or 3 games, the more they play that way,
Mhm.
the more comfortable we look, don't we? And we're going to need to open them up. So let's put the front three up. I think Diaby has struggled a little bit recently for form. So it'd be nice to see him playing with Bailey and that link up, hopefully getting a bit stronger. Ollie Watkins, will be looking to score a bag full, I think, on Friday and get
Mhm.
himself up that scoring chart and hopefully just in behind Haaland. If he's missing for a few more games, he could even match him and go ahead of him. So I see a lot of goals. I see sort of 70, 80, maybe even higher than that possession for Villa and
Mhm.
bucket loads of chances. And if we score an early one, I think it could be with the feeling and with the atmosphere that's going into the game and what's at stake if we win. I think it could be a real heavy scoreline. I do.
Yeah, I agree. Interestingly, Watkins is now on 9 Premier League goals this season. He's getting 20. He's getting 20. I mean, we're virtually halfway through, and he'll hopefully be on 10 by the end of, or even more. It could be on, I don't know what he could be on after Friday. But, if he's on
15.
more than 10 come Jan 1st, then he's getting 20, 100%. So, yeah, big game, and it's a challenge. It's going to test the minerals. It's gonna send a statement out there, and I hope it really does because there's still a few people sleeping on Villa. I'm watching a lot of people saying that this and that and blah blah blah. So when you look at us top of that table, it's going to be hard not to start taking us serious. So really looking forward to the game. We've got opposition preview, which will be out tomorrow, and then we'll have fan cams after the game as well. So fan cams debrief. We will then have a United match preview, which will be out on Christmas Eve. And then we've got something on Christmas Day for you. I'm not telling you what it is. And then we've got the Boxing Day game. So content still going to be there. You're all smashing it. Also, go back and if you haven't watched it, check out the Chris Wokes episode with Justin. Absolutely fantastic. Great to get Chris Wokes on our channel. Really nice guy. Absolutely loves the Villa. Up the Villa. Score prediction, actually. We haven't done these for a while. Let's not bother. Let's not bother because, let's just not bother.
I think you know what
Up the
mine's
Villa,
going
just
to
did.
be.
Yeah,
Up the
up the
Villa,
Villa.
happy Christmas.